Now, WKRG 5 Sports Overtime. Here's Robby Baker.
Tonight on Sports Overtime. Some are calling for Gus Malzahn's job, and the Jags have fallen to 1-5.
We're at one of our lows, at our lowest points of this program.
Plus, Nick Saban wants fans to stay to the end of Alabama's blowout wins.
I think it ought to be first come, first served, and if they don't want to come to the games, they don't have to come. But I'm sure there's enough people around here that like to go to the games and would like for them to come too because they support the players.
And just a few years ago, this South Alabama athlete wasn't sure he would walk again, but now he's ready to compete for the Jags.
With trauma, head trauma, you don't know if you're going to be able to your balance, going to be able to use your certain limbs, you're not really sure.
That story and much more right now on Sports Overtime. Oh yes, I held an alligator yesterday. We will get to that soon. We start tonight with that Saban sound you heard in the open. This week's Saban rant was about fans leaving early in the Tide's recent blowout wins. And well, it got me thinking we've sort of had the same issue here since Sports Overtime launched in April. So I asked Nick Saban about our studio audience, and I'll be honest, he wasn't very happy.
Here we are, 14 weeks in. The crowds, week one. Here we are, almost 4 months later. Not like it used to be. We're still winning. I've still got my Coke bottle. I don't drink it. But my commitment to this and your lack of commitment to what Robby, Thomas, and Jason do.
Brilliant! Brilliant work by Jason. Anytime he can reprise his role as fake Saban, it is a good Sunday. And if we're talking about Alabama, well, their Saturday was pretty good. We'll start the college football recap there.
Enjoy all your college football games with a delicious, refreshing Pepsi. Tonight's college football wrap-up of the week is brought to you by Pepsi, the choice for every generation.
Sure, Alabama's defense allowed Arkansas to put up 31 yesterday, but honestly, who cares? Alabama scored 65. Tua threw more touchdowns than incomplete passes. Jalen and Tua at one point were on the field at the same time, something Jason predicted in the preseason would happen. It's almost like Nick Saban is just bored and is just toying around with stuff at this point. The Tide rolled to another big win yesterday, which is not something that their rivals can say. Now, Auburn fans, I will spare you from watching highlights of what happened last night in Starkville. Auburn, of course, fell to 4-2, both those losses coming in SEC play. And here's the deal. I've seen a lot of social media chatter where fans are fired up. They want to fire Gus Malzahn. Well, there's even a GoFundMe out there right now to help raise money to do it. But here's the truth. The Gus bus is not going anywhere. Remember last year when Auburn beat Georgia and Alabama back-to-back weeks? They went on to the SEC title game. Fans loved it. They were also okay giving Gus Malzahn an extension through the 2024 season. Well, that extension means that firing Malzahn this year would cost Auburn $32 million. The way his contract is structured, the school probably can't financially justify firing him until close to the 2020 season, and even that's a stretch. Malzahn is touted as an offensive genius. They currently rank, though, 96th in the country in passing offense and 99th in the country in total offense. The offense is frankly a mess right now. Sure, the Tigers could turn things around, but that Week 1 win over Washington, it seems like it was years ago. And it's perhaps a reminder that we all shouldn't just be prisoners of the moment. And another local team, thank you for the applause, Jason. Another local team struggling is South Alabama. 48-13, Georgia Southern beat down the Jags yesterday. South is now 1-5 on the year. And like I said last night at 10 o'clock, I think it's time to dust off the old panic button. Other than Alabama State this Saturday, I honestly don't really see any more wins on South Alabama's schedule moving forward. It's not crazy to think that this team could finish the year with only 2 to 3 wins.
At this moment, we're at one of our lows, at our lowest points of this program. And I feel like we're going to climb out of it. Just from the leaders in that room and the coaches that are leading us.
And how about this, a big win for the Argonauts last night. West Florida beating North Alabama. It's the first time West Florida has played and beaten a Division I opponent. It's also the first time any team from the Gulf South Conference has accomplished such a task since 2016. They got some big stuff going over there in Pensacola. All right, we are off and running here. I now need to tell you about NFL football, high school volleyball, and alligators. There is no easy transition, so I figured I wouldn't even try. Hooray, miscellaneous sports. Jason, check this out. This is a game-winning field goal in Carolina. No biggie, right? It was 63 yards. Graham Gano kicked this from the other side of the midfield logo, and a fun local connection to this, we'll re-rack it, here it is. Graham Gano is from Cantonment, near where we are here, Tate High School alum, and he has a cannon for a leg. It's unbelievable. No Saints game today as the Saints prep to play the Redskins tomorrow night on Monday Night Football, and it will be a big night for their backfield because they get Mark Ingram back. Fantasy owners everywhere can rejoice, and by that I mean I can rejoice because I really need Mark Ingram to have a good game tomorrow. Come on, 22. And check out this cool event yesterday. This was the Alligators and Ales event. Met up with our friends from Bryant Bank. They held an alligator. I held an alligator. Fun fact, alligators, very soft. Much softer than I thought they would be. It was all a good event, a great event, because all the proceeds went to help the Miracle League. They are working to build a handicap-accessible sports facility over there in Baldwin County. And we had some heated volleyball action yesterday over at St. Paul's. Peter Albrecht was there, sent me this video. The Saints here taking on their rival UMS. It was a breast cancer awareness fundraiser tournament. They had 8 teams in total competing. In the end, Jasper beat St. Paul's for the tournament title. And don't go anywhere, we are just getting started. When we return, we have a comeback story from South Alabama you don't want to miss. Something's loss is another's gain. It's a simple saying I'm sure you've all heard before. In this case, football's loss was track and field's gain. Victor Turek was a rising star at Thompson High School just a few years ago, but he suffered a traumatic brain injury that forced him to switch sports and find a new passion.
If he continues working hard and continue to progress at the rate he's progressing and stay healthy, I mean, he can be one of our more successful athletes we've ever had here.
It's high praise for a freshman yet to compete in his first collegiate event, and even higher if you consider just a few years ago, Victor wasn't sure he'd be able to walk again.
And I remember going like it was just a normal day, going through practice, and then next thing I know, we're doing a drill, and me and another kid hit heads, and then I went unconscious for a few moments, and then I wake up and excruciating pain, and then they ended up taking me to the hospital. At first I thought I was paralyzed because I couldn't move, and then I kind of came to, and then I was like, wow, I mean, I guess I just have a concussion. And then once we got to the hospital, they kind of explained that it was a little bit more serious than just a concussion.
The jarring hit gave Victor a fractured skull and orbital bone. His spinal fluid was also leaking into his body, and his athletic future was in doubt.
I didn't know, with trauma, head trauma, you don't know if you're going to be able to, your balance, going to be able to use your certain limbs, you're not really sure.
But Victor was determined. He wanted to get back and compete again.
I had to go 2 months without raising my heart rate, so I just did a lot of walking. And that was really hard for me because I went from going to extreme exercise, consistent, and then going to just nothing.
Now Victor worked his way back not only to compete in track and field, but he became one of the best discus throwers in the state, even winning a state championship in high school. But the journey to the top wasn't easy.
I would get out there, start throwing, and then my balance would go off, and I'd start to get really frustrated. And that was one of the hardest things, was being so frustrated with my balance not being where it used to be.
Rotational kinesthetic awareness, to be able to rotate around in a circle. Not everybody is able to do that. He seems to be able to do that, and he picks technique up pretty quickly.
The Jags recently began preseason practices, and we're still months away from Victor making his South Alabama athletic debut. But knowing where Victor has come from may help shed light on where he's going.
The fact that I went from nothing to being able to compete on a D1 level, and glad Coach opened his eyes and got to pick me up, and couldn't be more happy to be here.
That's incredible stuff. It was awesome meeting Victor. He says someday he plans or hopes to compete in the Olympics. And considering all he's already accomplished and overcome, I personally wouldn't be surprised if we see him make that dream come true someday. Coming up, Thomas is not here this week, but that just means Jason and I get to supply you with even more useless analysis coming up. Jason loves his little floating dancing head every time. Dramatic music, you wear sunglasses,
Well, speaking of floating heads, we have our own Thomas Keyboy here that is, You're holding up some space,
Yes,
useless
well,
analysis.
I wanted to make sure he was represented. Unfortunately, I don't have access to the color printer, so Thomas is in black and white. But he's enjoying a day off tonight, a well-deserved day off. It's, of course, the useless analysis segment where we have a sportsman, an absent weatherman, and a in-person newsman give college football picks. And since Thomas is not here, that's just more time for us to give useless analysis.
Absolutely. And, you know, I think I can speak for Thomas since Thomas can't speak for himself. But I think whatever
that line all night.
I really have been. I'm just kind of trying to make sure I hit, you know. But no, I think we had a great weekend. I think not just from our picks, but also just the games that happened. It was outstanding.
It was a great weekend of college football. Let's throw up the graphic. Let's see how we did. We all went 3-1, so nobody gained any ground on anybody. We all picked Alabama, easy.
Yeah.
Thomas and I got the Mississippi upset of Auburn correct.
Yeah.
But then you came in with the zinger at the end, and you correctly picked the UTSA Roadrunners to beat the Fried Rice Owls. They're just the Rice Owls. But you correctly picked UTSA. That's how you remain on top. And so we need to try to pick some different picks here, try to gain some ground on each other. We will start with Missouri and Alabama. I did not have a Missouri logo, so instead I went with the entrance to the campus, I would appear. That was in our system. It's a very beautiful entrance to the campus. They have some columns, but I don't know if those columns are going to do anything to help them beat Alabama. Right now, the ESPN Football Index actually gives the Tigers, Jason, a 7.6% chance of winning. That seemed very generous.
I think so.
I don't think that is anywhere near close. I think there would be like a negative 226% chance, Jason. What say you?
Well, you know, with Arkansas putting up as many points as they did against Alabama, I'm a little concerned about Alabama's defense, and I think Saban's going to correct that over the next week. But Missouri can score. Alabama is just a juggernaut when it comes to offense. So it's not a hard pick in this situation. We know it's Alabama, but I think it's going to be more interesting than some of the games past.
Now, I saw a fan online actually make a comment that at first I thought, this is crazy talk. And then I thought, maybe it's not so crazy. Now, this fan said that Tua is so good, he's actually hurting Alabama. And his argument was that Tua scores so quickly that the defense never gets a rest. And that is honestly why he was suggesting that maybe they're struggling a little bit. We'll throw up the graphic, and we will obviously go formality. We're all taking Alabama. But that was a very interesting point, I thought, that people haven't brought up. Maybe the offense is so good, it's hurting the defense.
Well, I mean, think about the run game that Alabama's had forever, and the amount of time that they take up and the amount of time they take up off the game just by, you know, staying on the ground and running that clock.
There you go. We're going to move on now to Tennessee and Auburn, two teams that are in desperate need of a victory. Really no more than the other. They both need a win. We'll start with you because Thomas is Thomas, what do you think, buddy? He doesn't have a lot of words tonight. So Jason, we'll have you start your useless analysis.
Well, I'm going to begin uselessly by telling you that I think even though Auburn did drop one to Mississippi State, I think it's going to be no problem at all for them to go. I don't know. Are they playing in Knoxville or are they playing?
They're at home. They're at home.
Oh, they're Jordan Hare, even better. Yeah. So I mean, it's going to be a runaway for Auburn, but I do think it's kind of interesting that Auburn wins the SEC championship or goes the SEC championship game last year, and people are talking about firing Malzahn. I'm just leaving it at that.
It's SEC fans, you know. So we'll put up the graphic, and you'll be surprised here. I'm taking Tennessee on the road.
Really?
Auburn has a lot of problems right now. It seems like they're a 3-score favorite, but I'm trying to make up some ground. I got to be different too. So let's talk Sun Belt now. We got an Alabama State team that you may be. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's their logo. We have an Alabama State team. I almost start laughing. Alabama State went to 5 overtimes this last weekend with Alcorn State. They won. They come to take on a South Alabama team that is reeling right now. South Alabama 1-5. Jason, how do you see this one playing out?
Yeah, I got to go with Alabama State just because, I mean, especially with South Alabama saying that this is their lowest point. I mean, it's not like they're going to jump to the top of the mountain from their lowest point already.
All right, well, Thomas and I are going South Alabama. They are, of course, at home. We will give them that home field bump advantage. And now we're going back to Jason's alma mater here, UCF in Memphis. This is a fun game, but it's actually a pretty big game in college football this weekend. Jason, are you picking the alma mater? Are you riding the Tigers here?
I love my Tigers. I wore my blue and silver, but the fact of the matter is UCF has not lost a game since, what, 2016? I
do believe that is correct. And they are also the reigning national champs.
Don't
forget that.
Yeah, I'm definitely, I mean, I love me some Memphis, but I'm sorry, they can't stop the Golden Knights, right?
Wow, yeah, they are the Golden Knights of UCF. Thomas is going Memphis. Thomas is supporting you. I agree with you, though. I think UCF will get another win. But fun fact, this game actually went to 2 overtimes last year.
That's true.
So it was close. And also Memphis has their starting quarterback, also a former Sun Devil. So I get to throw ASU in there.
Very interesting.
Jason, I appreciate your useless analysis. Thomas, you did a great job as well as always, buddy. When we come back, it's Randy Patrick time. Welcome back, everybody, to Sports Overtime, and what a show it's been so far. We've talked NFL, college football, track and field. We've been to an alligator farm, and now we're talking about gymnastics.
This week, WKRG Sports Overtime, pleased to be coming to you indoors. We are at Nasser Gymnastics on Old Shell Road in Mobile, and we're pleased to have with us Coach Lolly Parvinru, who has been a part of this gym since she was a baby girl. This gym founded by her father, Nasser Parvinru, and we're here to talk gymnastics, the state of gymnastics. You've got a lot of kids waiting to get out here on the mats and doing some tumbling and gymnastics. This really is a part of your life, isn't it, Coach?
This is my life. It is my life. It is my life. My whole life.
You were once one of those little kids in the background back over there warming up, ready to show your parents what you could do, huh?
I did. Since I was a little girl, grew up, gymnastics was in my blood.
Your father came over here from Iran as a nationally known gymnast and opened up a business in Mobile, Alabama back in 1971, huh?
1970, yes. He was a former Olympic gymnast for the country of Iran. And he was at one point ranked 16th in the world.
That's awesome, and I know a lot of kids and parents have been in this gym, including myself, watching our kids tumble as kids are coming to birthday parties, and then we found out they were not going to be gymnasts at the elite level, so we moved on to other sports.
Right, right. Gymnastics is it's a hard sport. It's a sport that gets harder as you get better, and it takes a lot of time commitment, and we have a lot of students that come in and they try it, and I always encourage them, even if you're not going to be a forever gymnast, if you don't plan on being in the Olympics or going to college, there's so much that the sport of gymnastics can help you with in so many other areas of your life.
Your sport has taken a hit, unfortunately, in the negative vein, nationally, worldwide, Team USA with the scandal. And also your family has taken a hit because of Dr. Larry Nasser's bad deeds that sent him to prison for the rest of his life. And unfortunately, your name is Nasser, but it's not even spelled the same as Dr. Larry Nasser. His is with an A instead of an ER. And that's his last name, and this is your dad's first name, and you guys are kind of guilty by association in some respects. It's been a tough year for you, hasn't it?
It's been a really tough year, and like you just said, a guilty by association. My dad's first name is Nasser, and our last name is Parvinru, and then Dr. Larry Nasser is Nasser, and he is was an MD, where my dad was never a doctor. He was, a coach, and we have no relation at all.
USA Gymnastics is in a state of turmoil, and here we look here locally with all these kids waiting to come out here and get coached. You guys are affiliated with USA Gymnastics.
Absolutely.
You have to be. Talk about that connection.
USAG is our national gymnastics governing body. So in order to have students compete at sanctioned events, at competitions, they have to be a member of USAG. In order for us to, as coaches, to be able to go on the floor and coach at these sanctioned events, we have to have membership numbers and pass courses and tests in order for us to have our certification and something that has to be renewed.
Is anything going to change because of where we are right now? Do you see anything changing in your gym or on the national elite level, worldwide level?
I feel like the changes that are occurring have been for positive change and things that needed to be done regardless. A lot of the things that USAG is implementing are things that we've already had in play. And we have so many girls that work so hard and they train so hard, and I hope that none of this ever happens again.
Thank you, Coach Lolly.
All right, thanks, Randy. And we return. It is Best of the Week time. Come on back.
Bryant Bank offers unbeatable service and legendary results. And now, a look at the Best of the Week that produced its own legendary result.
You and Mom mean the world to me. Also, be good for Mom and no fighting. Go Kings, go!
This is our Best of the Week. That is U.S. Marine Major Douglas Raschelbach. He surprised his family before the LA Kings home opener, and I absolutely love this. The emotion on his kids' faces, his wife. Obviously, you saw the emotional video message. They thought that's all they were going to see of their husband and father, and instead he was behind them and surprised them. Love that. And we leave you with something funny and lighthearted tonight. Earlier this week, the Brewers beat the Rockies in a walk-off. Mike Moustakas hit it, but his teammate, Hernan Perez, he couldn't seem to find him. on the field. He just kind of wandered with a full Gatorade jug walking around. Eventually, he found Moustakas in the outfield, but then he didn't even properly Gatorade bathe him. He just hit Ryan Braun. Look at it in slow motion. This is all wrong. Everything's wrong about this. Kids, if you're watching at home, this is how you do not give a walk-off Gatorade bath. It's all wrong. I felt bad he had to lug that thing around us long. It couldn't be light. That is the show. Thank you so much for watching. We had so much fun. We will do it again, same time, same place next week. Good night, everybody.